We're live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this special ASA Town Hall Distributor meeting. My name is Mike Miazga, Vice President, Sales Membership at ASA. And again, we'd like to welcome you to this special interview. My guests today, up in the top left there, Chris Reynolds from Plumbers and Factory Supplies, Columbus, Ohio. Hi, Chris.
Hello.
Down on the bottom left, Dan New, Vice President of Administration over at Mid-City Supply in Elkhart, Indiana. Good to see you, Dan.
Hi, Mike.
Down on the right, last but not least, Patrick Maloney, Coburn Supply, Beaumont, Texas. Good to see you, Patrick.
Good to see you as well.
Thanks to all three of you for taking time out of hectic schedules to do this. Like we said on our last town hall meeting last week, a lot of stuff going down with the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of stuff legislative, things changing on a dime, but we find great value here in this setting of letting our members know what you guys are up to, the actual guys with boots on the street, guys living it day to day, and we'll go through a lot of the same stuff we did last week, and just get a clear perspective from ASA distributor members on what's going on right now during the pandemic. Top of mind would be the virus itself. Have any of your companies, do you have folks that got the COVID-19 or folks that may have been exposed to it, and family members or other folks that they know?
We've been lucky that we have not. We've had a few scares and a few people that have had to self-isolate for 14 days. Both got tested, and thankfully both were negative, but it's certainly that happened early on and put everybody on high alert pretty quickly within our company.
Yeah, we were the same. We've had a couple of associates that were tested, someone's son, someone's uncle, but thankfully all came back negative.
Yeah, for us, we have had one employee that has tested positive. It's something that took a while to actually find out, but we were fortunate that before they had symptoms and they were getting sick, they were actually out of the office. That was about 2.5 to 3 weeks ago, and we were diligent about making sure that we were cleaning multiple times a day, and we're fortunate that we've had one person. We've had others that have been tested. We've had some employees that were family members or some people had been exposed, and so we've asked them to remain at home and to quarantine themselves. But from our perspective, having one, I think we feel pretty fortunate.
Good. Patrick, you alluded to extra cleaning precautions. What are you guys doing in your companies on an operations day-to-day basis to maybe account for hygiene and cleaning and things of that nature, counter procedures, showroom procedures?
Yeah, so a couple of weeks back, we actually went ahead and closed all of our locations. We locked the doors. We are only doing, we call it express pickup, 30-minute will call. So one, we wanted to minimize the exposure that our employees had, but a lot of times, that people, our customers are our friends, our family, and they come in and they hang out and they have coffee and they sit around, and which is great, but it's not good right now. So we ask our branches even now. What we asked them then was to clean. We asked them to make sure that they were wiping down counters in high traffic areas with wipes and Lysol, and at least a couple of times an hour. We asked them to do that. We feel like because we did that a couple of weeks ago, we started that. That's probably one reason why in our one location that we did have a positive case. Nobody's out of the woods right now, but we do feel like that's something that helped the other employees remain safe. So, now with the express pickup, it's wearing masks, or, down here we fish a lot. So you have the little neck buffs. And so our employees are wearing those whenever we're around each other, whenever we're around our customers, loading up their trucks for whatever they need. But it's definitely changed our world in the past 30 days.
Yeah, I guess for us, we have made a lot of changes too over the last few weeks, and we are no customers in our counter area. Everything needs to get called in, similar to you, Patrick, and the order gets worked, and we take it out to their truck in front of our building. Credit card transactions over the phone, no signatures required. Our showroom, we've got closed but open to appointment only, and those appointments that are made, we are asking that those be current projects that are in process, so that we can prioritize those and cut down on any showroom traffic or exposure that we might otherwise have by people just who don't get it, maybe coming in and just perusing. So doing our best to stay as busy as possible under the strictest parameters that we can have.
Yeah, we're basically doing the same thing. Counters are closed. For deliveries, we're doing contactless deliveries. So we're still delivering, but we'll drop the stuff off, and yeah, no signature required. All meetings are virtual. As many people working from home as possible. Cleaning multiple times a day and keep social distancing.
If you look at the last 7 days, what's changed for your companies procedure-wise? Has business picked up, business slowed down? What's been the biggest difference in the last 7 to 10 days?
I'll go. I think for us, we've been fortunate that it's been good. Here in the South, we do HVAC as well, but I mean, it's getting warm and it's dry. I think that's something that's helped us out. And March and April are typically good, strong months for us regardless. So we were trying to figure out with inventory, should we do our normal purchases that we would do to bulk up for summer, or do we hold back? Because we weren't sure the contractors were going to be working. I think that what we've seen really over the past week that has changed is, for the most part, our locations, they're busy in the morning, and then in the afternoons it tends to die off. So it might be after lunch, where typically we might have seen a surge in the morning and a surge in the afternoon. That afternoon surge is not there. And that's something that we've started to see really in the past week. How do we deal with that? We're trying to figure that out. But for the most part, business has been a whole heck of a lot better than we thought it was going to be. Considering 2 weeks ago, we thought that we were not going to be an essential business and we would be closed. So.
Yeah, I would say ours is interesting because we're in Indiana and Michigan, and Indiana, construction is an essential business. In Michigan, it's not. So our business in Indiana has only dropped off a little bit. Basically, mostly it's the service contractors where they have to go into people's homes. They've dropped off more because people don't want them in their homes. But the contractors that are working on new buildings, new homes, that sort of thing, they're still going because they can social distance on those jobs just fine. But in Michigan, it's a different story. In Michigan, there's a lot less going on because construction was not listed as one of the essential businesses. So we're seeing a much bigger drop off in Michigan than we are in Indiana right now.
Yeah, we are very fortunate that construction is considered essential in Ohio, and we are very busy. It's a mixed bag where our service plumbers some are busier than others, but that's been a tougher segment for us and for those customers. Our production guys are still very busy. Columbus has been a very busy market for a while now and remains that way. And although nothing can get inspected right now in the state, existing projects are allowed to continue. And we've been very busy shipping stuff out to those customers. We're a little concerned about what that landscape may look like in a couple months from now, because I think that there's a dip that's lagging that will come. And so we're very blessed to be able to continue to serve our customers for the time being.
You guys had to put a finger on it. What would be your biggest concern, challenge, frustration about the whole pandemic right now since it started?
I would say from our perspective, and we're really starting to see it now, is I think the long term is AR. I think that's where we are starting to see, you know, our customers, they still have jobs. They're still doing jobs. Even in markets for us, New Orleans is a hard hit area, but there's still permits being pulled. There's still, permits being applied for, which is great. So the business is there. And we know that business will continue. The challenge is we're getting paid a lot slower. And so that I think is a concern. I think that's where the CARE Act and trying to make sure that we convey to our customers what's going on with that and how they can apply for whatever support for the government that will help, because hopefully with that they can in turn pay us.
Yeah, I would agree with Patrick on the AR. That is a concern. I think for us, it's been the constant change in information. You make a plan one morning, and that afternoon, there was a ruling by somebody that plan is no longer very good. So there were a couple of weeks there where it felt like between all the different webinars and the different, DOL would come out with something, and it was frustrating because you would work on a plan, have a really good feeling about it, and then that afternoon something would come out that would completely blow it out of the water. And so that, to me, that's been very frustrating along the way. But hopefully we're at a little bit more of a steady state now, but you never know.
Yeah, I agree with that, Dan. It has been a very fluid situation, and it's required pivoting and action multiple times daily. And I share your optimism that is leveling off. But maybe a week ago, I felt we were secure, like you said, in our plan, and then had to adjust on the fly. So it is an interesting environment from that regard, but it's there are some benefits to living through that and having to react that way. And it's no one wants to go through anything like this again, but it has been an exercise and an exploration in management that kind of is unparalleled. So there are a lot of takeaways from this.
We've talked a lot about the business aspect, financial, et cetera. How are you guys best managing or dealing with the mental, human element of it with your employees? And I mean, it's a stressful time for everybody. Take the business part of it out of it. I mean, just the constant unknown. How are you guys dealing with that mental aspect?
What?
Everybody's situation is different, and you have to be pretty aware of that. Everybody's got their own stresses, and so communication with people and checking in with people and thanking people for everything that they're doing has been critical for us. And it's been amazing to see our team come together and really manage through this extremely well. But I think for my part, it's just contact with people and conversations with people and sympathy and understanding for everybody's stress levels.
Yeah, I would agree. I think communication with your team, with your entire company about what you're doing, what you're thinking, why you're doing it, and that's when you talk about their concerns. mean, they want to know that they have a job. They want to know why you're doing what you're doing to really see the company through, and communicating that. And I think also listening. If you have an associate that has a concern, doesn't feel comfortable about something, then we're accommodating that. We actually just had something come up where returns is a big issue, where we weren't sure, should we allow returns? Should we not? Should we allow returns, but then quarantine that product for 72 hours? And we had a plan, and then we got some feedback from associates that was contrary to that. And so we made an adjustment and made sure that the associates were comfortable and felt safe and healthy. And so I think that's important as well.
Yeah, I think the mental well-being and trying to make sure that, look, our primary focus is our employees and the safety of our employees. I know more about surgical masks and N95 mask and these and this, that, and the other than and hand sanitizer than I care to know about. But it's to keep our employees safe. And I think as much as we can keep them safe, then hopefully whenever they go home to their husbands or wives or their family, then, you know, they're keeping their family safe. I think it's trying to make sure that everybody is, you know, just doing what they can. And I think, like y'all said, it's listening, it's understanding what the needs are, because at a branch, counter pickup trade location versus a showroom, the needs are completely different. We're looking into and moving quickly, for us at least, to do virtual conferencing and with our showrooms. Showrooms is an extremely important part of our business, and we've got to find different ways to be able to reach our customers. And it's through talking to and listening to our showroom consultants to say, all right, well, the doors are locked, and how do we continue to do business? Well, this is a way that we can use technology and try to continue to help them get their commission, get their paycheck, and you know, provide for their families.
What lessons can you take away from the pandemic going forward?
Well, you know, it's funny, at our young execs or emerging leaders meeting, it's been years ago now, we were in New Orleans and had a speaker talk to us about emergency preparedness and having a plan in place. And I know that there are other distributors that have gone through significant events, floods, weather events, things like that, and have executed emergency plans. But it seems so distant until you need it. And I think at least pre-thinking a lot of this, and you know, like we were talking about earlier, it was a very fluid situation. So any plan you might have had in place, you would have had to have amended anyway. But at least thinking through how your business reacts to something like this is a worthwhile exercise.
Yeah, I think the couple takeaways. One, it really tested our technology's abilities and capabilities. We learned that our technology and our systems can handle more than we thought. There's some capabilities that we have that we didn't know we had that could help us in the future, in terms of people working from home and some different things. That's helpful, and that's some things we can use in the future. And I think it also, something like this always just kind of reinforces what we already know about our people. We have an awesome team, and when things are tough and things seem to be down, just seeing our team step up and take on more responsibility and sacrifice in different areas, and it's awesome to see everyone working together, and it just kind of it almost re-energizes you a little bit to really see your team, to reinforce that something that we already knew, but just see them in action is great.
I think you know, here we've experienced hurricanes, we've experienced bad flooding in some areas, we've experienced tornadoes. The thing with that is the event happens and then you can react to it. for when flooding has happened, we found out what employees were affected, and we had other employees come in to help clean their house, to clean, to help take care of them. So that, but with this, it's everywhere. It's not just one space. I don't know how you. I think it's tested our technology. It's tested our communication, our ability to communicate and effectively. I think that everybody does the best you can. One of the things that has been beneficial personally for me is the relationships that you have through ASA, through your buying groups, because I'm reaching out to different people and saying, hey, what are you seeing? Here, this is what we're seeing. What are y'all doing? And that's been beneficial. You can say that you're prepared, but whenever it happens, that's whenever it's you have to be able to react. And it's been a struggle, but I think that all of our employees understand that nobody's working in a vacuum, and everybody's doing the best you can.
If you had to take out a crystal ball and look maybe a month down the road, maybe into the summer, where do you see business conditions headed if you had to take a stab at it?
Well, I think we should expect some leaner times. I hope that there's a lot of pent-up demand coming out of the backside of this, but that certainly depends on the consumer or the business world's reliance on capital and their confidence moving forward. It depends on how the market rebounds. It depends on a lot of things. So we're expecting it to be a little bit leaner, while hoping that there is enough pent-up demand as we come out of this to stimulate at least different parts of our business. Hopefully the showrooms, for all wholesale distributors, kind of come back a little faster, because maybe people have obviously had to put projects on hold through this, and maybe hopefully they're in a good position to pick up that project when we get back to some semblance of normal. But I think it's important to be guarded moving forward and optimistic, hopefully.
Yeah, I think depending on your area, it's going to stay slow through at least April, and then some part of May, depending on your area. And just, it also kind of depends on the spread of the virus. And if it starts to go down towards the end of April, early May, then you could see things start to open up. But it'll depend on your area, and then then kind of slowly ramp up after that. I think Chris has made a good point about the pent-up demand. I think for the most part, all of our demand is just going to be delayed, not necessarily canceled. So that's the good news. But when that comes back, it remains to be seen when it opens up, how quickly it does, and how much people are willing to be out there and spend money and trust people being in their homes and going to stores and things. So.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I hope that there is pent up demand at the back end of this, and I think the area that we probably feel like we're going to see some of the biggest challenges, depending on how long this goes, is in the showrooms, on the showroom side of our business. It's remodeling and new construction, and will remain to see. We're fortunate where job site work and commercial moving dirt and things, drainage, that's happening, so that's good. I think on our commercial side of the business, there are some jobs that are being delayed, but they're not being canceled, which is good. I think for all of us, and especially here in the South, you got the COVID-19 pandemic, and then you have OPEC and Russia fighting it out, and so the oil and what's happening there, that'll have a long-term play on our recovery as well. But we're definitely going to see I think some numbers dip, and I just hope that the rebound on the backside of this is strong, and there's no way to judge it.
We'll wrap it up here. And again, thank you a ton for taking time to do this. If you had to give some advice to maybe a distributor that's in a part of the area that hasn't been as hard hit yet, or is waiting for the top of the curve to come, or even someone that's been very hard hit, what would your advice to them be?
I would say, I listened to the webinar that you had last week, and all of the participants there, and I remember Bill Condren saying it, he said, prepare. Because even though you haven't, if it might not affect you right now, you got to prepare like it will. And I think that's where, alluding to one of the earlier questions that you had is, even though it might, nothing's happening to you, you gotta be ready for it. Because nobody wants this on anybody, and nobody wants it to be, widespread. We all want this to stop so we can get on to our normal lives, but you just have to be ready for it. And I think it's reach out to one another. I think it's reach out to people that reach out to friends and find out, hey, what are you doing? What are you seeing? How are you handling this? Because there is no crystal ball. And I think we're all in this together trying to figure out what the best thing is for our companies. Because we all have a lot of people and a lot of families that rely on some of the decisions that we're making. And, as much information as you can gather, it'll only help you in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, take steps to protect your family, take steps to protect your business and your community. And you can't, I think the director of our Department of Health in Ohio said it early on, that if you feel like you're being overly cautious, then you're just being cautious enough. You got to take all the precautions and all the measurements that you can in hopes of protecting people that are important to you. And that includes family, business, and community. So you're really making all those steps for everyone's benefit and as well as your own. I think that another thing for either those that are hard hit or have not been hard hit yet is to rely on a lot of the resources that exist, and a lot of those come from ASA. I was on a call earlier this morning with Sesco, asking them some questions about some employees that are working from home or that maybe are unable to work very well from home. And it's a great resource to reach out to get some clarity on issues that you may not be able to answer in-house. So rely on your association, because they are doing everything in their power to help you manage your business through this.
Yeah, I think the guys said it well. I mean, protect the people protect your people, protect the being your employees, your associates, your family. That should be the number one priority. And then continue to learn. When you make a plan, continue to ask questions, continue to revise. As business conditions change, as things develop, keep going back to it. Talk to your trusted advisors, whether that be your accountants, your lawyers, acquaintances, other distributors within ASA or within your buying group. Keep asking questions, because I think continuing to plan and continuing to adjust based on conditions is what's going to get us through this. And stay positive. We'll all get through this, and we'll be better for it afterwards.
Awesome stuff, guys. Again, Chris Reynolds, Dan New, and Patrick Maloney, thanks for taking time out of your busy days to help with this. And for all the latest COVID-19 related news and information, you can visit the ASA website and the special COVID-19 Resource Center. That's at asa.net. And enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, Mike.
Mike.